In today's video, we'll be talking about how you can better understand and control your emotions, featuring one of our favorite books, The Courage to be Disliked. Hello, good people of the internet. Welcome to another episode of Ask a Human Not an AI with Chetan Narang. Today's question is a slightly special one because it's our first non anonymous question. So, I would firstly like to thank Swapna for choosing the option of me being able to use her name in the response video. Thank you, Swapna. Her question is a beautiful one, really. It's based out of this book, The Courage to be Disliked. She says, Hello, sir. A few weeks back, you had posted about the book, The Courage to be Disliked. I came across it in a cafe and read a chapter titled Trauma Does Not Exist, which I found to be very interesting. It's a beautiful chapter and a triggering one. In that, the philosopher says that all the emotions we feel in a moment are fabricated by us to achieve some particular goal then and there. For example, if we shout at someone, it is because we want to do so. Or if I'm insecure about going out of my home, I fabricate anxiety to achieve the goal of not having to go outside. Can you help me understand this better? If those emotions are not fabricated by us and are not really, if those emotions are fabricated by us and are not really trauma responses, what is their true source? What a beautiful question. I think to understand this facet of this book, you really have to understand what is the real purpose of this book. According to me, the real purpose of this book is a shift in the entire life narrative that you have, from one of being someone who is pushed around by his or her past or his or her surroundings or his or her society, to one of a person who is responsible for his or her thoughts, emotions, feelings, and life for that matter. And to make that dramatic shift, he has engaged in something that can be called a wordplay, but it is very, very important wordplay. Because I think that is something that is fundamentally important to almost all of counseling, really. What I mean is, this is something that I've talked about on my YouTube channel before. I do not remember the name of that counselor, that therapist, but she said something to the tune of, there comes a point invariably with all of my students, all of my clients, wherein I can say that now this person is going to change, now this person is going to heal. And that point invariably is one where their narrative of life shifts from one of being a victim to one of being responsible for their life. And as soon as they assume that responsibility, I know for a fact that they start to heal. And she was one of the top therapists in the world. I don't know what the ranking is, but yeah, this is something which is fundamentally important to this book as well, because the entire core purpose of this book is basically to help you understand that you are not really a victim of your surroundings, or rather, you don't benefit by considering yourself a victim of your surroundings, of your past, of whatever has happened already, or whatever is happening already, but rather, the only way to heal, the only way to change, the only way to lead a purposeful and a meaningful and a happy life for that matter is one of responsibility, taking responsibility for everything that is happening in your life. And that is the core purpose of what he's talking about, even in the chapter of trauma does not exist. Now, when he says that you fabricate emotions to achieve a certain goal in a situation, what he means is that, see, consider the example that you have given here. If we shout at someone, it is because we want to do so. What he means is, anger is something that we fabricate. He is trying to tell you that if you're angry at someone, it most likely is that we fall into the narrative of, I'm angry at that person because that person did so and I'm shouting at that person because of the actions of that person. That is, again, if you look at it, that is like a victim story. It's like, I had to be angry because this person did and I was a victim of this situation and I had to act this way. While rather, he says what is really true is that you are shouting at that person, you're angry at that person because it is you who's trying to control the situation. So the anger is not really because of that person. The anger is because of how you're choosing to act in that situation, how you're choosing to adapt to whatever is happening then and there. And therefore, it is you who's fabricating that anger, right? It's like wordplay, because both of those things, to be really honest, are happening together, right? You would not have shouted at that person, you would not have been angry at that person had that person not did had that person not done whatever that person did to get you angry. But it's also true that your response of raising your voice, your response of shouting, is because you are trying to control that situation now, and that is how you control situations. You would have seen that it's with some people, that is their stress response to situations. They raise their voice, they try to control the situation by undermining others, by simply raising their voice so that they can command the entire situation. And he's trying to tell you in this chapter, in this almost the entire book, that the narrative of you having to do something because you were a victim of your past or of the situation is one which is slightly incomplete, and it's also one that does not benefit you, at least not in the long run. And therefore, you need to let go of that story and rather understand and adapt the narrative that you are responsible for whatever is happening within you and outside of you. Outside of you, in the sense that how you're reacting to whatever is happening outside of you. And therefore, he says that you fabricate those emotions. And I think, if I remember correctly, in the same chapter of that book, he also explains why this is necessary. And he explains that beautifully via the example of, if let's say you're sick, if you have a running nose, you're also feverish, you're suffering from common cold or whatever, you go to the doctor, and your doctor tells you that you have a fever and a running cold because maybe it was raining and you were out and you got wet, and you also had you also were already wet, you should not have, but you came back home and you drank that whole icy because of the cow that you are, etc. And that is the reason why you are sick now, and that's it. And the doctor asks you to go back home. I've given you the reason for why you're sick. You will not be satisfied with that doctor visit, right? What you would want from that doctor visit is also, maybe, yes, you would want the reason for why you're sick, but you would also want how you can cure yourself now, how you can be better now. And perhaps you would also want to know how you could have prevented that from happening in the first place. So, what was it that you could have done to prevent this entire thing from happening? Yet, when it comes to counseling and therapy, for a lot of people, they tend to end their story at the fact that I'm so and so because my parents were so and so, because my I was treated this way in my childhood, I was bullied by my friends, etc., etc., because I had certain partners or whatnot. And while all of that is true, could be true, that is not the end all be all. And this book is about solutions. The end all be all of that entire story will be to let go of that story and adapt a fresh, powerful narrative of being responsible for your life. And that is what this book is all about. And therefore, take these first few chapters with, what do we call it? Take it with a pinch of salt, because it's hard, it's triggering to read these kinds of things, because it does not really suit well with our egos. It does not go well with the the victim story, the victim identity that we have in our minds and that we are really too attached with. But that is why I say I love this book, because it embodies its title, The Courage to Be Disliked. This book, you will not really like it when you pick it up the first time. At least the majority of us would not, because it triggers you. It says things that you do not really accept directly, like what happened with you. But if you stick with it, if you read the entire thing, and if you meditate on what this guy says, you will really see that that is actually true for your life too. And especially the parts of this book that trigger you, they are the parts of your life that you most need to work on. And therefore, I think that is what I would want to explain about this chapter. He says that trauma does not exist. I would personally not have used those exact same words, but what he means to tell you is that trauma does not exist in the present moment. Whatever has happened in the past. Whatever situation you were in, it's already happened. It was in the past, and the only thing that is keeping it alive now is your ego. It is your sense of self that you have built around whatever happened, around how you responded, and even now respond to that situation or similar such situations. And therefore that is what is keeping the trauma alive. And at some point in your healing journey, you need to understand that trauma does not really exist in that sense. And that is when you can let go of it and adapt the more powerful narrative of being responsible for whatever is happening in your life. And therefore, this is where you can draw a line that, can you really control your emotions? Can you really choose your emotions? I think it's again a bit of a wordplay. I would not want to say that yes, you can choose your emotions. But what I would say is, if you become aware of your emotions, if you become aware of what this book talks about in the sense of building that better, powerful narrative of your life, you would see that you cannot choose what emotions arise inside you in the next coming moment. No one can really choose that 100% of the times, but you can become aware of it and then choose whether you have to take an action out of this particular emotion or not. And that is where your free will lies. That is where your responsibility and your choice lies. And when you adapt the narrative of being responsible for your life, you become more suited to making better choices and owning those choices. That's it. That's everything I would want to talk about this book, about what you asked. I think if I've sold you enough on this book, you should definitely consider reading this book. And if I have moved you enough, check it out from the Amazon link down below in the description. If you do that, that actually is an Amazon affiliate link and it helps support the channel too. You can check out more such book reviews from my channel. It would be appearing on your screen right now. And that's it. If you have other such questions, hit me up on the Ask a Human Not an AI page on my website, www.chetanarang.org. And I'll see you in the playground the next time. Until next time, peace out.